Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
All right, welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. And if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us where you live and what you do for a living.
Hi, my name is Madhu Shroof. I live in Austin, Texas, and I'm the founder of Kimbala Beverages. So we're in the chai space. Essentially, most of our products are chai, and then we have some coffee offerings as well.
Awesome. So how did you get the idea for this business?
It was kind of always that two things. One is that entrepreneurial bug that's always been in me since I was a kid. And then I come from the beverage industry background. And at some point it clicked to me that there's not good chai available in the United States, especially being from a country that where chai is made, and like we consume 86% of India operates with chai every single day. So I wanted to see if there's an opportunity to start helping the chai market go in the right direction rather than just what in the last 3 decades it's been kind of butchered a little bit. So a lot.
Awesome.
So
I guess how did you go about you had this idea, this proof of concept, right? That it's big in India, but how did you go from that to actually testing it in the U.S. first and seeing if there was demand for this here in America?
So it kind of started off generally with the beverage background that I had and seeing every coffee shop in the country. And with my previous job, I used to travel the country a lot. And coffee, just starting off the day, was a big part of my life. And every coffee shop, doesn't matter where in the country I go, they always have chai on the menu. And I caught myself every single time asking, hey, how do you make your chai? Because some people just use, it's just literally cinnamon and sugar, just powder. And there's no quality, there's nothing in there. And then they just put it with hot water, add milk, and then give it to you. And so I started asking more and more and more. And then I realized that if I'm doing this, there are a lot of other people doing this. And I would also kind of living in the Bay Area, I would have kind of like chai parties at my friends' places where I would bring all the ingredients, make the chai. Suddenly I became the chai guy. And, the friends, my friend circle, they were like, you need to bottle this. So there was some level of proof of concept there and some validation, but I did take the steps to really put some samples out and started developing the recipe for it. And it was almost like a 1.5 to 2 years, you can say, in R&D before we even put something out for commercial use, which is make money off of it. So.
For sure. So I guess as of right now for the business, are you guys mostly direct to consumer or in retail? What does that look like?
Yeah. We have most of our business is wholesale right now, wholesale as well as retail. So we are in Whole Foods, Central Market, a few other launches coming up this year. And wholesale is our kind of food service, coffee shops that use us. Those are our wholesale accounts. D2C is very, very minimal. I will be honest. It's kind of like it works against a small brand. There's not a lot of margins there. There's literally no margins. You're giving everything to UPS and FedEx, and even to keep the price points in check where the customer is actually getting good value for what they paid for, So, which is why we've kind of dialed back on D2C as much as possible. But we still have, yeah.
So I guess does that include Amazon too? Have you guys also kind of dialed back on Amazon, or do you consider that a separate channel?
Amazon, I have not even approached yet, simply because our product it has a limited shelf life. It has to be moved through cold chain and those kind of things.
Gotcha.
And this is, we have products that are made like they're made at home, but we are able to scale it to retail and to wholesale levels. So we haven't really touched Amazon simply because of the logistical challenges of it.
Makes sense. So in terms of in retail, right? When you guys are in these stores, So have you done like sampling? Like how do you get in front of your customers to try your products or to even go and buy your products?
Yeah. So our retail journey was kind of very interesting because we first started wholesale and just selling to coffee shops, etc. And people, when they would go to the coffee shops and try our chai, they're like, "Hey, how are you making this? And where can I buy it to take it home?" So that was almost 2 years where coffee shops kept reporting back to me saying, "Hey, people want to buy this. People want to buy this," And that gave us another brave step to kind of take the same product but have a retail packaging available for it and put it on the shelf. So we already knew that it's going to do well. And then during when we do demos, etc., that's when we're able to connect with the end user and when they hear our story and what we're doing, why we're doing, and I mean it's an instant connect and people love it.
For sure.
We have a lot of repeat business.
That's awesome. So I guess like in terms of the coffee shops, right? Like how are you able to get into there? Was it like cold emailing, cold calling, just going, door to door in Austin? Like how did you get these coffee shops to actually buy your product?
In the last 2 years, it's been very grassroots, door to door, and some sort of industry connections that I have formed in the last 2 years, kind of being when we started off door to door, and then that has led to word of mouth. And so now we have people from Dallas reaching out and Houston reaching out. We have restaurant groups from across the country that reach out, and that's coming into play now. But we started off literally knocking on the doors.
That's awesome. So I guess like in terms of your business, right? What would you say are some of your top priorities for 2024? Like what are you guys looking to accomplish this year?
So we have our production in-house, and a lot of people that they go the co-packer way to so they're able to scale faster and those kind of things. For me to keep the quality where it is and to keep our recipe and the quality and give the highest value possible. I believe that we have explored co-packing options and other things, but we just generally decided to keep the manufacturing in-house. And so manufacturing has there's a lot of components to it, from bringing raw materials from India, making it here in Austin, and then distribution. So really 2024 is we're gearing up for some bigger retail launches as well as figuring out bigger production and scale. So those are some things, nothing like one big kind of hooray news, but it's just all different pieces of the business are moving simultaneously. So I think maybe to sum up, an answer for your question would be if we can more than double our last year's revenue, that would be a good place for us to be.
For sure, for sure. So obviously, like you mentioned, right, that keeping your manufacturing in house, right, as opposed to a co-packer. So I'm just curious, like, if you can maybe just tell our audience or just dive deeper, like, what specifically is it more of like you guys have like your own manufacturing plant where it's only making your products, and also like what are some of the advantages of doing that versus, as you said, like, just some sort of outsourcing or using a co-packer, which many CPG brands do use.
Yeah. So great question, Dan. So co-packing is typically, there's a lot of freedom, but at the same time, there's some limitations, which is minimum orders. For example, if you go to a small co-packer, there will be larger lead times. Maybe if you go to a larger co-packer, they can make a huge batch in one go and then give it to you. And then you're literally sitting on the inventory. As a small company, depending on whether you're funded or not, it's a very intricate balance between how you want to grow your brand. And that when you decide that, then you can either choose to be a production or go the co-packer way. So we haven't really raised any money, just kind of friends and family round, small ones. And with that, we're able to keep our production in-house, scale it as the business is growing. So it's a very methodical scale up, which has really helped us deal with inflation as well. And commodities, we deal with a lot of commodities, spices, and so forth. And these things can fluctuate. Like last year, there were heavy rains in India and all the prices went up. But because we're manufacturing on our own, we can keep the quality consistent and figure out how to navigate these higher prices and so forth. With co-packers, you kind of don't have a lot of flexibility because let's say you've signed contracts for a year or for 2 years or X number of pieces. And then, if the co-packer wants to put their prices up, then there's not a lot of room for negotiation too. It could be that they have just seen a sudden 30% increase and they want to pass it on to you, and you're not in a capacity to take that 30% increase. So where do you go? Well, you have a lot more flexibility. It's a lot more labor intensive and a much harder work to keep production in-house, but there's that flexibility, and that's how we've been able to navigate the inflation and just fluctuations in the commodity markets and so forth.
So would you say that like navigating through this is your biggest challenge, or would it be something else?
I think everything, man. It's honestly, we have a solid product, and as I mentioned earlier, it's growing from word of mouth. We have really, first year I did some marketing, and then coming into second and third year, we literally turned off the taps on marketing so we can just keep putting whatever money is there back into the product, into the value for the end consumer. That's my top priority. And then I've seen a very healthy growth. Yes, we could do marketing and then go hit multi-million dollar revenues and follow the recipe like other brands are doing. But I think the hardest challenge is to kind of separate yourself from the noise that's out there and continue to do justice to what you're doing, and for who you're doing. So that's kind of like the big challenge, I think, because there in the last 5, 7 years, there have been a lot of chai brands that have popped up in the country, and some have a advantage over us, 3 to 5 years head start. We've been 3 years now, and but our quality is, I would, humbly say that it's the best in the country so far. Because anything new pops up, I always make sure that I will order it, try it, and do a side by comparison, not just with myself. I have like people that I can approach for blind tastings and stuff. And these are not even people that I know very well. I'm just going to put something in a brown bag. They will try it. They will give me notes on it. And then they're like, okay, here we go. So, yeah, again, the top priority for us is to keep the value and be better than anything else that's in the market. I feel like I'm competing against myself, really, our own product, not really. I appreciate the other brands that are out there and to see what they're doing, but we are kind of focused on what we're doing.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, that's awesome that you're really focused on product and product quality. I think that many companies, to your point, don't have that approach. It's just like scale like at all costs.
Yeah.
And as you said, right, like your strategy and your approach of like focusing on the product is spoken for itself. You still had healthy growth. You still are growing at the way that you want to grow, and you're not, spending a bunch of money on marketing or losing a bunch of money. You're really focused on making the best possible product and letting that speak for itself.
Yeah, I've seen companies throw around numbers like, yeah, hey, we just hit $1 million in revenue, and then 4 months later they're at 4 million, and by the end of the year they're at 10 million. I don't understand that. But if they're really doing that, then I have much to learn from them, and that's
Yeah, I mean, lots of these companies is different, right? Like when they raise lots of money and they're burning, it's a very different. And to your point, right? It's like who's buying it at what quality. I mean, how many repeat customers you have? Because I think when you're
right.
focused on product and customer lifetime value, like we always talk about that because that speaks volumes. If you have customers that are coming back and buying and buying and buying,
Yeah,
that is, as you scale and word of mouth. I mean, that's really just a great way to grow. Because to your point, right? I mean, you can run an ad, but like, how does somebody know
yeah.
that your product is actually good, right? When they taste it and their friend tells them and their friend or family member, it's a very different methodology.
Yeah, yeah. And don't get me wrong, I love technology, but I would rather stand in a corner in downtown Austin and hand out free bottles of my chai than to do like a Facebook campaign. And we've seen that in the past. In the very first year, we did those things, and anything up about $500 to $1,000 a week was not even cutting it. We're
Right.
like, there are companies with much, much, much higher ad spends than what we had. And for example, Black Friday or any discount periods that come around the year, there's so much attention on these bigger brands with larger spends than somebody who's spending $300 to $500 or if $1,000. It doesn't really matter. And so I decided that I would rather give away free product, just me standing on the street. But also that's not very organic, I think, or sustainable for me to be able to do that.
Right.
We do run programs with our coffee shop partners where, oh, look, for Black Friday, let's do half off on all your chai for like 2 days.
Right.
And we see a huge return in that where we capture a lot of new customers. Every coffee shop that has been using, they've dropped like the national brand and they've switched to our brand. They've seen 6x growth in their chai sales. Like
Well, I'm curious.
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was curious, right? Because like I don't know if you think about it this way, but I feel like that in a sense you're not just competing against like other chai brands. You're competing against people who've never tried or people who don't drink it regularly. And
Yeah.
once they try it, they can change their habits and actually drink your product as opposed to people who are already chai drinkers. So I think it's also part of like your competition, so to speak, is the people who've never even thought about drinking chai.
Correct. Yeah, and there's a huge portion of or demographic of guys. Guys don't drink chai for some reason. I don't know why, but maybe they associate that as, oh, it's a girly drink. I would have never even thought that, but we see through our data and our traffic and other things that 78% is women. And even in that, there are other things that we've narrowed down, and it's amazing to see that 70+% is women, and then there are some guys who do drink chai, but it's just like it's a thing. Like I don't understand why. Like guys have to drink, I don't know, black coffee with 4 shots or something like that. It's
Or like energy
so
drinks, you know.
yeah, we're trying to see if we can capture, even that market by showing them that this is, it's a lighter version of your caffeine intake in the morning. It's rich, it's creamy, it's nostalgic, a proper chai is made, and there's so much history to chai as well. Even the tea industry, what coffee industry is today worldwide, tea was like that back in the 1700s. And the US has like a love-hate relationship with tea, and it goes back to the history books. And I've been a wine educator, tea educator in the past, and I would share these details with people so they understand why America is so pumped up on coffee and cold brew for that matter, versus there are a lot of other things, right? To be able to drink. So it's
Sure.
like a non-alc movement right now. It's becoming very popular. People are opening bars that are completely non-alc, especially here in Austin. So that's really cool to see that people are doing those things. You just have to stay persistent. It's a very, very tough market right now. And if you're able to pass that hump, you're going to really have created a category where it'll be cool for, we'll be like, hey, let's go catch a drink. It doesn't mean we're going and smashing beers together. We can go and have a nice, cool, sophisticated cocktail, which is, it doesn't leave you buzzed and you can drive home.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's awesome. So, what would you say is like the one biggest piece of advice that you wish you knew before you started this business?
Biggest one. See, I don't come from a background of raising money, and that's something that I had to start learning as I even opened the doors to the company. And there's been a lot of learning and a lot of learning and using what I needed at that moment to then learning and shelving something away that, okay, this is 3 years from now. I'm going to have to use this piece of knowledge or information or skill in raising money. So for me personally, I know a lot of other components of the beverage industry in detail and have had a lot of experience in that. But that probably, if I had the raising money part of it too, my company would be very different right now today. And maybe it would already be a nationally recognized brand. I don't know, So
For
that
sure.
that
So,
was
so if we're gonna, yeah, for sure. So if we're gonna have this conversation again in 1 year from now, where do you see things going for your business?
I think again, as manufacturing is a big part of everything that we do. So I see that 1 year from now, We have a much bigger production facility and just more doors, really, to then continue to have the repeat business success that we've had. I hopefully 1 year from now, I'll be in a better place to even also start working on some marketing stuff. I want to see how much longer I can push the brand without any market.
Awesome. So if somebody watching this wanted to reach out to you, do you mind sharing your website or social media handles? I guess the best ways to get in contact with
Yeah. So I Kimbala is the website, ikimbala.com. So letter I Kimbala.com. That's our website. You can reach me through there. Best one is to ping me on our Instagram. I see all the DMs, which is I_Kimbala, Kimbala, or just kind of Google Kimbala Chai. You'll see, ways to get to be able to reach me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today, and we're rooting for you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Nice speaking with you.
Thanks. All right. Bye.